Do you know that in the ancient world, some punishments were worse than death itself? Kings who ruled not by justice but by fear. Today, we uncover the darkest punishments ever used by ancient kings. Throughout history, kings held absolute power. With a single word, they could decide who would live and who would suffer. But what's even more terrifying than death itself are the punishments these rulers designed to break the human body and the human soul. So, prepare yourself, because once you hear these stories, you'll realize that the past was far darker than we could ever imagine. 1. The Brazen Bull of Ancient Greece. Our journey begins in ancient Greece, where a king named Phalaris sought to control his enemies with fear. His invention, a horrifying torture device called the Brazen Bull. It was a hollow bronze statue shaped like a bull. Victims were locked inside, and a fire was lit underneath. As the metal heated up, the person inside was roasted alive. But here's the most chilling part. The bull was engineered so that the victim's screams would echo out of its mouth, transformed into the roar of an angry beast. The king would sit and watch, entertained, as humans were turned into living sacrifices. A punishment so cruel, it was said to be a concert of death. 2. The Persian Scaphism, death by insects. From Greece, we travel east to the Persian Empire. Their darkest punishment was known as scaphism, also called the boats. The condemned was trapped between two wooden boats, with only their head, arms, and legs sticking out. Then, honey and milk were poured over their body to attract insects. Slowly, painfully, the person was eaten alive by swarms of flies, worms, and ants. This punishment didn't just kill the body, it erased human dignity. A slow descent into madness, as the victim could do nothing but scream, while nature itself became the executioner. 3. The Viking Blood Eagle. The Vikings were feared across Europe, and one of their most infamous punishments was the blood eagle. In this ritual, the victim's ribs were split open from the back, and their lungs were pulled out, spread like wings. It was said to be an offering to Odin, the god of war. The victim remained alive through the process, their screams echoing through the halls of Viking longhouses. Historians debate whether the blood eagle was myth or reality. But one thing is certain, the legend alone was powerful enough to terrify entire kingdoms. 4. The Chinese Ling Qi, death by 1,000 cuts. In imperial China, a punishment existed that became a symbol of ultimate suffering, Ling Qi, or death by 1,000 cuts. The condemned was tied, and over the course of hours, their body was sliced piece by piece, until finally, the heart was pierced. It wasn't just execution. It was designed to erase every trace of humanity, leaving nothing but pain. Even worse, the families of the condemned were often shamed, carrying the weight of dishonor for generations. It was death, but also destruction of legacy. 5. The Roman Colosseum, entertainment in blood. In Rome, punishments often became public entertainment. Gladiators fought beasts, prisoners were torn apart by lions, and executions were staged like theater. For the emperors, this wasn't just cruelty, it was politics. By turning punishment into a spectacle, they reminded the masses of Rome's power. Every drop of blood was a message. Defy us, and this will be your fate. Imagine the fear. Tens of thousands watching as one life was destroyed, not in silence, but in applause. 6. The medieval Iron Maiden. During the Middle Ages, Europe created one of the most nightmarish devices of all, the Iron Maiden. A coffin lined with spikes, where victims were locked inside, impaled from all directions. Some historians believe it was more legend than reality, but even the idea of it was enough to terrify enemies. The Iron Maiden became a symbol of how punishment wasn't just physical, it was psychological. The fear of what could happen was often worse than the act itself. 7. The Ottoman Impalement. In the Ottoman Empire, one ruler became infamous for his favorite punishment: impalement. A sharpened stake was driven through the body, often taking hours or even days before death finally arrived. This method spread terror so effectively that one Ottoman prince, Vlad the Impaler, later known as Dracula, used it against thousands of enemies. Forests of impaled bodies stood as warnings, reminding everyone of the cost of defiance. What do all these punishments tell us? That power, when unchecked, can twist justice into horror. Ancient kings ruled not by law, but by fear. And fear, when weaponized, can be worse than death. We often look at the past with wonder, pyramids, temples, castles, and legends of glory. But behind the golden crowns and marble thrones lay shadows darker than we can comprehend. So the next time you imagine the grandeur of ancient kings, remember this: their power was built not just on armies and wealth, but on punishments designed to break the human spirit. If you found these stories haunting, subscribe to Chrono Enigma, where history's darkest secrets are revealed. Because sometimes, the past is more terrifying than any nightmare.